The council chamber floated in the darkness of space, a massive ring of metal and glass that orbited the dead moon of Zenith Prime. Inside, 12 alien species gathered around a circular table that glowed with soft blue light. They had ruled the galaxy for 4,000 years. They made the laws. They kept the peace. They decided which species could join their ranks and which ones should remain silent. Ambassador Ji Woo stood at the human podium, her hands gripping the sides as she faced the council members. She was a small woman, with sharp eyes and gray hair tied back in a simple knot. Behind her stood Commander Dae-hyun and 6 human security officers in dark blue uniforms. They were not supposed to carry weapons in the council chamber. That was the rule. But Dae-hyun had insisted his team stay close to the ambassador today. Ji Woo's voice was steady as she spoke. 3 human colony worlds are dying. The radiation levels are beyond anything we have ever seen. Our scientists traced the source. The Esktar Empire conducted weapons tests in our sector without permission. 50,000 colonists are already dead. More will follow. 1. Chairman Vexthar sat at the center of the council table. He was a Sktar, tall and covered in green scales that reflected the chamber lights. His eyes were yellow with black slits. He watched Ji Woo the way a snake watches a mouse. When she finished speaking, he did not move for several long seconds. The human delegation makes serious accusations, Vexthar said finally. His voice came out in a low hiss. But humans have been council members for only 15 years. You are young. You do not understand the complexities of galactic affairs. Ji Woo's jaw tightened. We understand death, Chairman. We understand when our people are murdered. We demand a formal investigation. The other council members shifted in their seats. A few whispered to each other. The Torvik representative, a being made of floating crystals, chimed softly in what might have been agreement, but most stayed silent. Vexthar's clawed hand struck the table. The sound echoed through the chamber. You demand nothing. The Esktar Empire does not answer to a lesser species. This council will not waste time investigating claims made by a civilization that still fights wars on its own homeworld. We stopped fighting each other when we reached the stars, Ji Woo said. Her voice was cold now. Can your empire say the same? The chairman rose from his seat. He was nearly 3 meters tall. You forget your place, human. The council granted your species membership as a gift, a kindness. We can take it away. Dae-hyun stepped forward, placing himself between the chairman and Ji Woo. His hand moved to his belt where a weapon should have been but was not. Ambassador Ji Woo speaks for Earth and all human worlds. If you have evidence against her claims, present it. If not, allow the investigation. Vexthar's eyes focused on Dae-hyun. Security, he said simply. The doors around the chamber opened. Council security forces entered from 6 different points. They wore white armor and carried energy weapons that hummed with power. There were 30 of them. Maybe more. They surrounded the human delegation. This is illegal, Ji Woo said, but her voice was no longer steady. Council law protects those who respect the council, Vexthar replied. Remove them. Use force if necessary. Dawn. The security forces moved forward. Dae-hyun's team closed ranks around Ji Woo. For a moment, nobody moved. The tension in the room was thick enough to cut. Then, one of the security officers grabbed Ji Woo's arm. Dae-hyun pushed the officer back. Another security force member raised his weapon. The blue energy beam lit up the chamber. Dae-hyun fell first. The beam burned through his chest before he could make a sound. His body hit the floor, and smoke rose from the wound. Ji Woo screamed. The other human officers tried to shield her, but there were too many security forces. Energy beams filled the air. The humans had no weapons. They could only use their bodies as shields. In the engineering bay, 3 levels below the council chamber, a young human named Hyun Woo watched the security feeds on his datapad. His hands shook as he activated the emergency broadcast system. Every human ship in the sector would receive this signal. Every human colony. Earth itself. The feed showed everything. Daehyun's body on the floor. Ji-woo bleeding from her shoulder as security forces dragged her toward the door. Human officers falling one by one. The chairman standing over it all. His face showing no emotion. Hyun-woo's message was simple. They are killing us. The council is killing us. The broadcast lasted 40 seconds before council technicians cut the signal. But 40 seconds was enough. The message reached 17 human ships, 32 colonies, and Earth's Central Command. When the shooting stopped, 7 humans were dead. Ji-woo was barely alive, her blood spreading across the pristine white floor. The surviving human officers were taken to the station's detention center. Chairman Vexthar addressed the remaining council members. The humans became violent when questioned about their accusations. We had no choice but to defend ourselves. This matter is closed. But on Earth, 25 light-years away, the matter was just beginning. Admiral So-ra watched the broadcast in her office aboard the orbital defense station. She watched it 3 times. Then, she activated the emergency channel to Earth's government. Recall all human ships from Council space, she said. Evacuate our embassies. Withdraw our delegations. And prepare the fleet. The question came back immediately. Prepare for what, Admiral? So-ra's face was carved from stone. War. Prepare for war. Earth's government met in emergency session. The debate lasted 6 hours. But the decision was unanimous. Humanity would withdraw from the Galactic Council immediately. All treaties were void. All agreements cancelled. The Council had shed human blood on live broadcast. They had killed an ambassador's security detail. They had declared through their actions that humans were not equals. They were subjects. Property. Things to be controlled. Earth's response was broadcast across every frequency. Minister Taeyang delivered the message himself. The Galactic Council has shown its true nature. They do not want partners. They want servants. Humanity will not serve. We withdraw from all Council agreements effective immediately. Any Council ship that enters human space will be considered hostile. We ask for peace. But we prepare for war. The choice is yours. On Zenith Prime, Chairman Vexthar received the message with a slight smile. Let the humans rage, he thought. They were 1 species against 12. They had a handful of colonies against an empire of 400 worlds. Their technology was primitive compared to Council standards. They would learn. And if they did not learn, they would die. Vexthar began preparing the enforcement fleet. 200 warships would be enough to break human resistance. They would start with the largest human colony, New Busan. 40 million humans lived there. Vexthar Busan. Vexthar. 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 It would be a lesson the entire galaxy would remember. But as the Council prepared their forces, they made one critical mistake. They believed their own propaganda. They believed humans were weak, young, inferior. They forgot to ask one simple question. How does a species survive on a world like Earth? How does a species endure ice ages, plagues, predators, and 10,000 years of warfare against itself? The answer was simple. That species becomes very, very good at killing. The Council convened 3 days after Earth's withdrawal. Every member species sent their representatives. Even the Torvik, who rarely spoke in Council matters, attended through their crystalline avatars. The chamber buzzed with voices in a dozen different languages, all filtered through translation devices that made everyone sound calm and reasonable. Chairman Vexthar called the session to order. The human problem must be addressed immediately. They have rejected Council authority. They have made threats. They have spread lies about the Esktar Empire across their communication networks. The Morgath representative, a massive being covered in thick fur, growled his agreement. The humans are dangerous. They reproduce quickly. They expand faster than any species we have seen. If we do not stop them now, they will become a threat to galactic stability. They have been council members for 15 years, said the Pelax delegate, her blue skin shimmering under the lights. Surely we can negotiate. Find common ground. Vexthar's laugh was cold. Negotiate? With a species that sent warships to their borders the day after the incident? With a species that has withdrawn all cooperation? No, the humans understand only strength. We will show them strength. Deep in the Council's military archives, analysts studied human capabilities. The reports were not impressive. Earth had 140 warships. Most were converted merchant vessels with basic weapons. Their largest ships were barely half the size of a standard Council cruiser. Human colonies had minimal defense systems. Their technology was at least 2 generations behind Council standards. The analysis was clear. Humanity could be subdued with minimal effort. The Council had faced rebellious species before. None had survived. Full Council, military action. What the analysts did not see were the gaps in their data. Human ships that appeared in their records and then vanished. Colony defense grids that seemed too small for the population they protected. Industrial output that did not match the number of visible factories. On Earth, in a facility buried 3 kilometers below the surface of what used to be the Korean peninsula, Minister Tae-yang walked through corridors that officially did not exist. Armed guards stood at every junction. Biometric scanners verified his identity 6 times before he reached the central command room. Admiral Sora was waiting. She stood before a massive holographic display that showed every human ship, every colony, every defensive position in human space. But there was a second layer to the display. Ships that were not in any official record. Weapons, platforms hidden in asteroid fields. Factories on moons that were supposed to be uninhabited. The Council is gathering an enforcement fleet, Sora said without turning around. Our intelligence confirms 200 ships. 5 species contributing. They are targeting New Busan. Tae-yang studied the display. New Busan was humanity's crown jewel. The most successful colony. The most populated. 40 million souls. When will they arrive? 16 days. Maybe less, if they push their engines. Can we defend it? Sora finally turned to face him. Her expression was hard. We can do more than defend it, Minister. We can make them bleed. She activated a section of the display that showed New Busan and the surrounding space. Red dots appeared. Hundreds of them. These are defense platforms we installed over the last 10 years. The Council thinks we have 40. We actually have 400. Each one carries weapons that violate 3 different Council treaties. More icons appeared. These are minefield deployments. Kinetic, kill vehicles. Drone swarms. All hidden in the asteroid belt, around the colony. And here, she zoomed out to show the entire sector, are the ships we never told the Council about. Stealth destroyers, missile cruisers. Ships designed for one purpose. War. Tae-yang felt something cold settle in his stomach. How long have we been preparing for this? Since the day we joined the Council, Sora replied. Did you really think we would trust them? After everything humanity went through on Earth, all the wars, all the betrayals, all the peace treaties that were broken before the ink dried? She shook her head. We learned our lesson, Minister. Hope for peace. Prepare for war. In another section of the facility, scientist J1 worked in a laboratory that was kept at near freezing temperatures. The cold helped the quantum processors run more efficiently. On the screens around him, weapons systems that had been theoretical for decades were now ready for deployment. The Council had rules about artificial intelligence. Rules about autonomous weapons. Rules about kinetic bombardment and relativistic missiles. They said such weapons were too dangerous, too destructive. They made the Council members uncomfortable. Jaewon had spent 30 years breaking every single one of those rules. His creations were elegant in their simplicity and terrifying in their efficiency. Drone swarms that learned from every battle, missiles that accelerated to a fraction of light speed, weapons that could turn a warship into vapor in microseconds. "The Council thinks we are primitive," J1 said to his assistant, a young woman named Bora. "They judge us by their own standards. They think technology advances in a straight line. Faster engines, stronger shields, bigger guns." He pulled up a schematic on the main screen. It showed a small device, no larger than a human hand. They never stop to think about what makes human technology different. "We do not just make things better. We make them cheaper, smaller, easier to produce. A council drone costs 1,000,000 credits and takes a month to build. Our drones cost 10,000 credits and can be built in a day." Bora studied the schematic. "So we can overwhelm them with numbers? Numbers. Adaptability. Unpredictability." J1 smiled. But there was no warmth in it. The Council has been at peace for so long they forgot how to really fight. They follow rules. They have honor codes. They give warnings before attacking. He tapped the screen. "We have none of those limitations. We fight to win. Whatever it takes." Across human space, the mobilization was total. Every colony activated hidden defense protocols. Ships moved into position, using routes that avoided Council sensors. Factories that built civilian equipment shifted to military production. Soldiers who had been training in secret for years received their deployment orders. On the colony world of New Busan, Commander Do-yoon addressed his defense force. There were 10,000 troops under his command. They were not professional soldiers. Most were colonists who had military training. Teachers, engineers, doctors, farmers, people who had come to New Busan for a better life. "The Council is coming," Do-yoon said simply. "They think we are easy prey. They think we will surrender when we see their fleet. They are wrong." He activated a hologram showing the defense grid around the colony. "We have enough firepower to hurt them badly, maybe even stop them completely. But this is not just about defense. This is about sending a message. The Council needs to learn that humanity does not kneel. Not now. Not ever." One of the colonists, a woman named Unji, who had been a schoolteacher before the crisis, raised her hand. "Commander, what if they bombard us from orbit? What if they do not even try to land troops?" Do-yoon met her eyes. "Then we make them pay for every meter of space. We make them regret coming here. And we trust that the rest of humanity will make them pay even more." He paused. "The Council shed our blood first. Now we show them what happens when you make humanity angry." The Council's enforcement fleet gathered at Staging Point Gamma, a barren system on the edge of Council space. 200 ships of varying designs and sizes. The Esktar provided heavy cruisers, massive ships bristling with weapons. The Morgoth sent their carrier groups. The Pelax contributed their fast attack ships. 5 different species, 5 different military doctrines, united in one goal: break human resistance, remind the galaxy who ruled. Fleet Commander Rothnor, a Skektar veteran of a dozen pacification campaigns, addressed his captains via holographic link. "The humans are concentrated at New Busan. We will offer them one chance to surrender. If they refuse, we will bombard their defenses until they have no choice." He paused. "Council intelligence says they have minimal military capability. This should be quick, clean. A lesson for any other species that thinks they can defy us." But as the enforcement fleet prepared to jump to faster than light speed, none of them noticed the small human ships that had been watching them. Stealth vessels that looked like asteroids or debris. Ships that recorded every detail of the Council formation, every weapon signature, every communication frequency. The data streamed back to human command in real time. Admiral Sora studied it carefully. Then she sent new orders to the fleet, waiting at New Busan. "Let them come," she transmitted. "Let them think they have the advantage. and then show them what humans really are. The countdown began. 16 days until contact. 16 days until the Council learned their mistake. The enforcement fleet arrived at New Busan exactly on schedule. 200 warships dropped out of faster-than-light travel in perfect formation. They appeared in the outer system, far enough from the colony planet to avoid immediate conflict but close enough to be seen by every sensor on the surface. Fleet Commander Rathnor sat in his command chair aboard the flagship Dominant Will. The bridge crew moved with practiced efficiency. Screens showed the human colony world, spinning slowly in space. It was a beautiful planet, blue and green with white clouds. Rathnor thought it would be a shame to scar it with weapons fire. But he would if the humans forced his hand. "Scan the system," he ordered. "Locate their defense platforms and ships." The sensor officer worked his console. After a moment, he reported, "Sir, we detect 43 defense platforms around the colony. Standard human design, light weapons, minimal shielding. No ships in the immediate area." Rathnor nodded. This matched intelligence reports exactly. The humans were even weaker than expected. "Open a communication channel to the colony." Commander Do-yoon received the transmission in the Colonial Defense Center. The room was buried deep underground, surrounded by meters of reinforced concrete and shielding. Around him, officers monitored defense systems. The air smelled of recycled oxygen and coffee. Rathnor's scaled face appeared on the screen. "Human Colony of New Busan. This is Fleet Commander Rathnor of the Galactic Council Enforcement Fleet. You are hereby ordered to surrender all military assets and submit to Council authority. You have 1 hour to comply. Failure to surrender will result in military action. This is your only warning." Do-yoon looked at the screen for a long moment. Then he smiled. It was not a friendly smile. "Commander Rathnor, this is Commander Do-yoon, Colonial Defense Force. I have a message for you and the Council." He leaned forward. The transmission ended. On the Dominant Will, Rathnor's expression darkened. "Foolish," he muttered. "Advance the fleet. Target their defense platforms. Prepare to fire on my command." The enforcement fleet moved forward in a disciplined formation. The heavy cruisers led, their shields glowing with power. Behind them came the carriers and support ships. It was an impressive display of military might. The kind of force that made entire species surrender without firing a shot. They crossed into the inner system. Still no response from the humans. The defense platforms remained silent. No ships appeared to challenge them. "They are afraid," the tactical officer said, waiting until the last moment to surrender. Rathnor was not so sure. Something felt wrong. The humans had been too confident, too calm. "Intensify scans. Check the asteroid belt. Check everything." The sensor officer's face went pale. "Sir, I am detecting massive energy signatures. Hundreds of them. They were hidden, camouflaged as asteroids and debris. They are powering up now." 1. The screens exploded with new contacts. Defense platforms appeared throughout the system. Not 43, 433. Each one bristled with weapons that were definitely not standard human design. "Evasive action," Rathnor shouted, but he was too late. Do-yoon gave the order from his command center. "All platforms, fire at will." Space lit up with weapons fire. Energy beams, missiles, railgun projectiles, all aimed at the enforcement fleet with devastating accuracy. The Council ships had excellent shields, but they were designed to absorb focused fire from a few ships at once. Not this. Not hundreds of weapons firing simultaneously from multiple angles. The Morgath carrier Broken Claw took 17 direct hits in the first 5 seconds. Its shields collapsed. The next wave of fire tore through the hull, ripping the ship apart from the inside. Atmosphere vented into space, along with debris and bodies. Rathnor gripped his command chair as the Dominant Will shook from impacts. "Return fire! All ships, return fire!" The Council fleet responded with their own weapons. They had superior technology. Their guns hit harder. Their missiles flew faster. Individual Council ships were more powerful than anything humanity possessed. But they were outnumbered and surrounded. That was when Captain Sung Min made his move. The destroyer Incheon's Fury and 15 other human warships appeared behind the Council fleet. They had been hiding in the asteroid belt, powered down, invisible to sensors. Now they accelerated at full speed, closing the distance before the Council could react. Lieutenant Ha-eun stood at her tactical station aboard the Incheon's Fury. Her hands moved across the controls with practiced speed. Targets locked. Drone swarms, ready for launch. Sung Min stared at the Council fleet through the viewscreen. He thought about Commander Dae-hyun, about the 7 humans killed on Zenith Prime, about the Council's arrogance. Launch everything, he said quietly. The Incheon's Fury released its entire payload at once. Thousands of small objects burst from launch tubes and spread out in space. They looked like debris at first. Then, they began to move with purpose. The drones were each the size of a soccer ball. They had no shields, no armor, minimal weapons. But they had something more valuable: intelligence. Not artificial. Not in the way the Council understood. These drones learned, adapted, communicated with each other in microseconds. The swarm hit the Council fleet like a wave of hungry locusts. Council point defense systems fired frantically, destroying hundreds of drones, but thousands more got through. They attached to hulls, burned through armor, destroyed sensors and weapons and engines. And they learned. Every drone that died transmitted its knowledge to the others. Where the weak points were, which weapons were most effective, how to avoid point defense fire. The Council had never seen anything like it. They are everywhere, the sensor officer screamed. We cannot target them all. Thanks for watching. They're weak and telling 2000. The stream subscribed to Rockdid. Rothnor watched his fleet fall apart. Ships spun out of control, their engines destroyed. Others went dark as drones cut their power systems. The Pelax destroyer Swift Wind exploded in a fireball that briefly lit the entire battlefield. All ships retreat, he ordered. Emergency jump to faster than light. Get us out of here. Get us out of here. But the human attack was not finished. Sung Min had saved his most devastating weapon for last. Relativistic missiles. Simple in design. A massive engine attached to a dense metal slug. Accelerate to a fraction of light speed, and let physics do the rest. 3 missiles launched from the Incheon's Fury. They accelerated so fast, they appeared as streaks of light. The Council fleet had no time to react. The first missile struck the Esktar cruiser Eternal Glory amidships. The kinetic energy was equivalent to a nuclear weapon. The ship simply disintegrated, torn apart by the impact. The second missile clipped a Morgoth carrier, vaporizing half the ship and sending the rest tumbling through space. The third missed its target but passed through the formation at such speed that its shockwave damaged 6 more vessels. Ha-eun watched the destruction on her screens. Part of her felt sick at the loss of life. But another part, the part that had watched the Zenith Prime massacre, felt nothing but cold satisfaction. The Council fleet is breaking formation. Multiple ships are jumping away. The remaining vessels are requesting surrender. Sung Min stood up. Denied. Continue firing until they are all gone, or all destroyed. It took another 20 minutes. When it was over, 119 Council ships were destroyed or disabled. The rest had fled back to Council space, many of them badly damaged. New Busan had not lost a single platform. The human destroyers had suffered minor damage. Total human casualties: 47. Council casualties, estimated at over 100,000. Du Yun stood in his command center and looked at the tactical display. The space around New Busan was filled with debris, wreckage from Council ships, bodies floating in the void. He felt no joy at the victory, only grim determination. Send a message to Admiral Sora, he said. New Busan holds. The Council bled here today. Sora received the message aboard her flagship in Earth orbit. She read it 3 times. Then she composed a response that would be broadcast across every frequency, to every species in the galaxy, to the Galactic Council. You came to New Busan expecting easy prey. You found predators instead. You shed our blood first. You killed our people. You declared us inferior. Now you know the truth. Humanity will not submit. We will not kneel. We will not stop. Every attack you make will be answered with greater force. Every threat will be met with action. You wanted to teach us a lesson. Consider this your lesson learned. We are humanity. We evolved on a world that tried to kill us every day for millions of years. We survived ice ages, plagues, predators, and each other. Did you really think your fleet would frighten us? The message ended with coordinates. Coordinates to New Busan. Coordinates to the wreckage of the Council fleet. Come see what we did to your enforcement fleet. And understand this is only the beginning. On Zenith Prime, Chairman Vexthar watched the footage of the battle. He watched it 7 times. Each time, his anger grew colder. The Council had underestimated the humans. A mistake, but one that could be corrected. The Council still had thousands of ships, millions of soldiers, centuries of military experience. The humans had won 1 battle. They would not win the war. But as Vexthar prepared his next move, he failed to notice something important. In the footage of the battle, human tactics showed a creativity and viciousness that no Council species possessed. The humans did not fight with honor. They did not follow the rules of civilized warfare. They fought to kill, to destroy, to win at any cost. And across the galaxy, on 100 subjugated worlds, other species watched the same footage. They saw a young species defeat the mighty Council. They saw hope where before there had been only fear. The humans had done more than win a battle. They had shown that the Council could bleed. General Kyung-suk walked through the troop transport's cargo bay where 3,000 Marines checked their equipment. The ship was 3 days from its target, a Council military installation on the moon of Vraxtor. The Marines were quiet, focused. They had trained for this mission for 2 years. Now it was real. She stopped at a group assembling their armor. These were not the powered suits that Council armies used. Human armor was simpler, lighter, designed for speed and adaptability rather than brute protection. The Marines could move faster, fight longer, adapt quicker. General, one of the Marines said. His name was Taemin, a corporal from New Seoul. Will they surrender when they see us coming? Kyung-suk shook her head. The Council does not surrender easily. They think their military bases are impregnable. They have never been successfully assaulted. She smiled slightly. They are about to learn that nothing is impregnable. Across human space, similar ships carried similar troops to 12 different targets. Every Council military installation within striking distance. Simultaneous attacks. No warnings. No mercy. Earth's strategy was simple. Do not wait for the Council to gather another fleet. Do not give them time to plan. Attack everywhere at once. Make them defend instead of attack. Keep them off balance. Make them afraid. Commander Ji-ho stood on the bridge of the stealth carrier Soul's Shadow. His ship was unlike any Council vessel. It did not announce itself with massive engines or powerful shields. It was designed to hide, to deceive, to strike without warning. Around him, the bridge crew worked in near silence. The only sounds were the soft hum of instruments and occasional whispered reports. They were approaching a Council supply convoy. 12 cargo ships carrying weapons, ammunition, and equipment to reinforce Council positions. Distance to target? Ji-ho asked quietly. 50,000 kilometers and closing, the navigation officer replied. They have not detected us. The Soul's Shadow had been following the convoy for 6 days, watching, learning their patterns, waiting for the right moment. That moment was now. The convoy had just entered a nebula, a region of space where sensors did not work well. Perfect cover. Attack formation, Jiho ordered. Target their escorts first, then the cargo ships. No survivors. The carrier released its fighters. Small, fast ships that accelerated in complete silence. The Council escorts, 4 light cruisers, detected them too late. Energy beams and missiles tore through their hulls before they could raise shields. Within 90 seconds, all 4 escorts were destroyed. The cargo ships tried to scatter, but they were slow, designed for capacity, not speed. Human fighters picked them off, one by one. Each explosion was silent in the vacuum of space. A brief flash of light, and then nothing. Jiho watched the tactical display as the last cargo ship died. Mark the location. Send the data to command. The Council will know we were here, but they will not know how many of us there are or where we will strike next. Intelligence operative Hyojin sat in a small cafe on the planet of Kelros, a world that had been under Council control for 300 years. The Kelrosians were a peaceful species, tall and thin with gray skin and large eyes. They had resisted Council membership once. The Council response had been brutal. Now, they served quietly, resentfully. Hyojin looked human enough to pass for one of the many species in the crowded marketplace. She sipped her drink and watched the entrance. After 10 minutes, her contact arrived, a Kelrosian named Torvan, who worked in the Planetary Communications Center. "You have the access codes?" she asked quietly. Torvan slid a data chip across the table. His hand shook slightly. "This is treason. If the Council discovers what I have done, they will execute me and my entire family." "The Council is losing," Hyojin said. "They lost at New Busan. They are losing ships and supplies every day. Their grip on the galaxy is weakening." She picked up the data chip. "When we win, you and your people will be free. And if you lose?" Hyojin met his eyes. "Then we all die. But at least we will die fighting, instead of living on our knees." She left the cafe and made her way through the crowded streets to a small apartment she had rented under a false name. Inside, she activated her secure communication system and uploaded the data. The codes would allow human ships to bypass Council security systems. A small advantage, but every advantage mattered. Her terminal beeped. A message from Earth command. "Proceed to next target. Deliver the packages." Hyojin opened a hidden panel in the floor. Inside were 3 small cases. Each one contained weapons, communication equipment, and instructions. Simple tools, but in the right hands, they could start a rebellion. On the mining world of Praxis 7, the workers gathered in secret in an abandoned tunnel deep underground. They were Vraxians, a species known for their strength and endurance. The Council used them as laborers, mining valuable minerals under harsh conditions. A human agent named Subin stood before them. She was young, barely 25, but she had been trained in insurgency tactics since she was 15. The Council maintains control through fear and superior technology, but their technology has weaknesses. Their ships need fuel. Their soldiers need supplies. Their command structure depends on communication networks. She opened one of the cases Hyojin had delivered. Inside were compact weapons and explosives. "These will help you hurt them. But weapons alone are not enough. You must organize, plan, strike when they are weak, and disappear before they can respond." One of the Vraxians, an elder named Krath, studied the weapons. "The Council has crushed every rebellion for 1,000 years. What makes you think we can succeed?" Subin pulled up a holographic display showing the battle at New Busan. "Because humanity has shown that the Council can bleed. We defeated their fleet. We destroyed their ships. And we will continue fighting until they surrender or die." She looked at each Vraxian in turn. "We are not asking you to fight alone. We are offering you a choice. Help us break the Council, and we will help you become free." The rebellions started small. Sabotage. Attacks on communication systems. Supply convoys that disappeared. Council officials found dead in their homes. Nothing dramatic. Nothing that seemed coordinated. But across 15 different worlds, the pattern was the same. Species that had been quiet for decades suddenly became dangerous. The Council had to divert military forces to maintain order, forces they needed elsewhere. General Kyung-suk's assault on the Vrax-Tor installation was textbook perfect. The Marines hit the base from 3 directions simultaneously. Council defenders were well-trained and well-equipped, but they fought by the rules. They established defensive positions. They called for reinforcements. They tried to hold key areas. The humans did none of these things. They flowed like water, finding weaknesses, exploiting gaps, hitting hard, and disappearing before the Council could respond. When Council troops tried to form defensive lines, human demolition teams collapsed the tunnels behind them, cutting them off. When Council reinforcements arrived, they found only booby traps and ambushes. The battle lasted 4 hours. When it ended, the installation was destroyed, its data cores copied, and its weapons seized. Council casualties, 800. Human casualties, 42. Kyung-suk stood in the ruins of the Council Command Center. Around her, Marines set demolition charges that would finish the destruction. "Document everything," she ordered. "I want the Council to see what we did here. I want them to know that nowhere is safe." Admiral So-ra coordinated the operations from her flagship. On her tactical display, reports came in from a dozen battlefronts. Every attack had succeeded. Every target had been hit. The Council was reeling, but she knew this was just the beginning. The Council still had massive military power. They could replace the losses. They could adapt. The question was whether humanity could maintain the pressure. Could they keep the Council off balance long enough to force a peace treaty? Her communication officer interrupted her thoughts. "Admiral, we are receiving a transmission from Council space. It is on all frequencies. They are addressing the entire galaxy." "Put it on screen." Chairman Vexthar appeared. His scales looked darker than before, his eyes harder. "To all species in the galaxy. The human aggression cannot be tolerated. They have attacked Council installations without provocation. They have murdered Council citizens. They have spread lies and encouraged rebellion." He paused. "The Council is therefore authorizing the formation of the Grand Armada. Every member species will contribute ships and troops. We will gather the largest military force in galactic history, and we will use it to end the human threat permanently." The transmission ended. Sora stared at the blank screen for a long moment. Then she began composing orders. The Council was gathering its full strength. Earth would need to do the same. Minister Tae-young received the news in his underground command center. He looked at the reports, at the numbers. The Grand Armada would have at least 2,000 ships, maybe more. Even with all of humanity's advantages, those were difficult odds, but surrender was not an option. The Council had made that clear when they killed Dae-hyun and the others on Zenith Prime. This was a war of survival now. Either humanity would break the Council's grip on the galaxy, or humanity would be broken. "Send a message to all human worlds," he ordered. "Full mobilization. Every ship, every soldier, every weapon we have. The Council is coming with everything they have. We need to be ready." Across human space, the message was received. Colonists became soldiers. Merchant ships became warships. Factories worked around the clock, producing weapons and ammunition. Humanity had been preparing for this since joining the Council. Now all that preparation would be tested. On 15 subjugated worlds, the rebellions grew stronger. The weapons humanity provided, the training humanity offered, gave them hope. And hope was a powerful weapon. The Council faced something they had never encountered before. A species that refused to accept defeat. A species that adapted faster than they could respond. A species that fought not with honor or tradition, but with cold calculation and absolute determination. The Council had started this war believing humanity was weak. Now, they were beginning to understand their mistake. But they could not stop. To stop would mean admitting that a species barely older than a child had defeated them. The Council's pride, their arrogance, their belief in their own superiority, drove them forward. Both sides prepared for the final confrontation. The Grand Armada would gather at Council space, and then it would jump to Earth, the heart of humanity. If Earth fell, human resistance would collapse. The countdown began. 30 days until the Grand Armada was ready. 30 days for humanity to prepare its defenses. 30 days until the largest battle in galactic history. The Grand Armada assembled at Rally Point Terminus, a massive region of empty space on the edge of Council territory. 2,347 warships from 8 different species, cruisers that could crack planets, carriers that held thousands of fighters, battleships whose shields could withstand nuclear weapons. Fleet Admiral Krendar commanded from the super dreadnought Absolute Unity, a ship 3 kilometers long with weapons that could destroy cities. He had fought in 20 campaigns across his long career. He had never lost a battle. The humans will see us coming, he told his command staff. They will see the size of our fleet, and they will despair. No species can stand against this much power. The Armada jumped to faster than light speed. Destination: Earth's solar system, the heart of human civilization. End this war by cutting off the head. In Earth orbit, Fleet Admiral Wu Jin watched the approaching threat on his tactical display. The sensors had detected the Grand Armada while it was still light years away. The Council was not even trying to hide. They wanted humanity to see them coming. They wanted humanity to be afraid. How long until they arrive? He asked quietly. 6 hours, his tactical officer replied. They will drop out of faster than light at the edge of the system, beyond Pluto's orbit. Wu Jin nodded. He was an old man now, 73 years old. He had spent 50 years in Earth's Navy. He had seen humanity's first steps into space, had watched the first colonies being founded, had been there when Earth joined the Council. He had also been there, watching on monitors, when Daehyun died on Zenith Prime. Begin evacuation of non-combat personnel from the orbital stations, he ordered. And activate the Prometheus Protocol. Deep beneath Earth's surface, Dr. Youngmi entered her laboratory for the last time. She was 60 years old, small and frail-looking, with gray hair and tired eyes. But her mind was still sharp enough to create the most devastating weapon humanity had ever built. The Prometheus Protocol. Named after the Greek titan who gave fire to humanity. A weapon that broke every rule, every treaty, every moral guideline. But then, the Council had broken the rules first. Youngmi walked through the facility, checking each system. Around her, automated factories hummed with activity. They had been building for 30 days straight, building the devices that would either save humanity or destroy everything. Status? She asked her assistant, a young man named Junho. 140 units completed and deployed, he replied. They are positioned throughout the solar system, hidden in asteroids, on moons, in debris fields. The Council will never detect them all. Youngmi looked at the schematic showing the deployment pattern. Each dot represented a weapon. Each weapon was a singularity bomb, a device that created a temporary black hole, a tear in space-time itself that would consume everything nearby and then collapse. If we use these, millions will die, she said softly. If we do not use them, billions will die, Junho replied. The Council is not coming to conquer. They are coming to exterminate. She knew he was right. The Council had made their intentions clear. They would not accept human surrender. Not anymore. Too much blood had been shed. Too much pride had been damaged. The Council would either break humanity completely or die trying. The Grand Armada dropped out of faster than light at the edge of Earth's solar system. 2,000 ships, appearing in a formation that stretched across millions of kilometers. It was beautiful, in a terrible way. The largest military force ever assembled. On the Absolute Unity, Fleet Admiral Krendar opened communication channels to Earth. Humans of Earth, your rebellion is over. Surrender immediately, and you will be allowed to live as subject species under Council authority. Refuse, and we will destroy every human world, every station, every ship, until nothing remains. In Earth Command, Wu Jin listened to the ultimatum. Then he activated his own communication system. Fleet Admiral Krendar, you came to our home. You brought an armada to threaten our families, our children, our world. You expected us to be afraid. He paused. You were right to be cautious at New Busan. You should have learned your lesson there. But you did not. So let me teach you something about humanity. We do not surrender. We do not submit. And we do not forgive. He closed the channel and gave the order. All defenses, weapons free. Show them what it costs to threaten Earth. Earth's orbital defenses opened fire. Thousands of weapons platforms that had been hidden among satellites and space stations. The Council fleet had excellent sensors, but they had been looking for ships, not stationary weapons. The first wave of fire caught them by surprise, but it was not enough, not nearly enough. The Grand Armada absorbed the damage and kept coming. Their return fire was devastating. Mars Defense Station exploded in a fireball. Venus Outpost went dark. Luna Base suffered direct hits that breached its main dome. The Council fleet advanced steadily. They would reach Earth in 3 hours. And when they did, they would rain fire on the planet until humanity's cradle became humanity's grave. On Earth's surface, billions of people watched the battle in orbit. They saw the flashes of weapons fire. They saw their defenses falling. Many prayed. Some cried. Others simply watched with grim determination. If this was the end, they would face it with their eyes open. But Fleet Admiral Wu Jin had not played his final card. Activate the Prometheus Protocol, he ordered. All units, fire on my command. Throughout the solar system, in asteroids and debris fields and hidden facilities, the singularity bombs activated. 140 points of light that grew brighter and brighter. Krendar saw them on his sensors. What are those? Energy signatures are off the scale. They are building to critical levels. His science officer's voice was frightened. Sir, those are singularity weapons. They are creating black holes. Dozens of them. That is impossible. Such weapons would violate every council law. They would destroy the system itself. The humans do not care about council laws anymore, the officer replied. Wu Jin watched the tactical display as the singularity bombs reached critical mass. He thought about Dae Hyun, about Ji Woo, about all the humans who had died because the council believed might made right. Detonate, he said simply. Space tore open. The singularity bombs created tears in reality itself, temporary black holes that consumed everything nearby. 47 council ships vanished in an instant, pulled into the gravitational wells, and crushed to atoms. The black holes lasted only seconds before collapsing, but those seconds were enough. The Grand Armada scattered in panic. Ships collided with each other, trying to escape. Others were caught in the gravitational distortions and thrown off course. The perfect formation dissolved into chaos. But Wu Jin was not done. Earth's defense fleet, hidden until now in the shadow of the moon, accelerated into battle. They were outnumbered 10-1. But the enemy was confused, scattered, afraid. The humans were focused, coordinated, and absolutely determined. Captain Sung Min, promoted after New Busan and now commanding the cruiser Incheon's Vengeance, led the attack. His ship dove into the council formation, firing at point-blank range. Around him, other human ships did the same. They did not try to match the Council's firepower. They used speed, aggression, and the enemy's own chaos against them. Lieutenant Ha-un, now a commander aboard the Incheon's Vengeance, coordinated the drone swarms. Millions of small weapons flooding the battlefield, targeting sensors and weapons and engines. The Council's advantages in technology meant nothing when they could not see, could not shoot, could not maneuver. On the Absolute Unity, Krendar tried to restore order. But his communications were jammed. His sensors were overwhelmed. His fleet was dying around him. All ships retreat. Emergency jump to faster than light. Get us out of here. But escaping was not easy. The singularity bombs had distorted space throughout the system. Ships trying to jump to faster than light found their engines failing. Or worse, they jumped successfully and vanished forever, lost in the twisted space between dimensions. The battle raged for 6 more hours. When it finally ended, the Grand Armada was destroyed. 1,900 ships lost. Those that escaped were damaged, broken, fleeing back to Council space with tales of human weapons that tore reality apart. Earth had lost 200 defense platforms, 37 ships, and 3 orbital stations. Millions had died. But Earth still stood. Humanity still lived. In the aftermath, Ambassador Ji Woo stood before a holographic transmission being broadcast to every species in the galaxy. She had recovered from her wounds, though she walked with a cane now, and her left arm did not move quite right. People of the galaxy, she began. The Galactic Council came to Earth with the largest fleet ever assembled. They came to exterminate humanity for refusing to accept their authority. They believed their numbers and technology made them invincible. She paused. They were wrong. Behind her, images played. The battle. The singularity weapons. The Council fleet in ruins. But this broadcast is not about our victory. It is about the future. The Galactic Council was built on a lie. They claimed to bring peace and order. What they really brought was tyranny. They ruled through fear and superior force. Any species that showed independence was crushed. Any world that resisted was destroyed. She looked directly at the camera. We humans learned something important in our history. Peace cannot be imposed by force. Peace requires respect, equality, justice. The Council provided none of these things. To the oppressed species watching this, rise up, we will help you. To the Council species, you have a choice. Continue this war until everyone is dead, or negotiate as equals. She raised a data chip. This chip contains the treaty we propose. The Galactic Commonwealth. An alliance where every species has equal voice. Where no species can claim authority over another. Where military strength is allowed, but aggression is punished. Where diversity is celebrated, not crushed. We do not seek to dominate you. We seek to stand beside you. As equals. As partners. As friends. The old order is broken. Let us build something better from its ashes. The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, the response was immediate. 23 subjugated worlds declared independence. 8 Council member species contacted Earth to discuss the treaty. The remaining Council species, weakened and isolated, faced internal revolts as their own populations questioned why they were still fighting. Chairman Vexthar was arrested by his own government. The Isktar Empire sued for peace. Other Council species followed. Within 6 months, the Galactic Council officially dissolved. The Treaty of Luna was signed on Earth's moon, in a newly built facility where representatives from 47 species gathered. Ambassador Ji Woo, now Earth's Prime Minister, presided over the signing. The treaty established the Galactic Commonwealth. Every species, regardless of size or strength or technology, had equal representation. Military forces were allowed, but aggression between member species was forbidden. Trade would be free. Travel would be unrestricted. Knowledge would be shared. It was not perfect. There would be disputes and disagreements. But it was better, fairer, more just. Vexus Thar himself stood trial for the Zenith Prime massacre. The evidence was overwhelming. Video of the attack, testimony from survivors, his own orders preserved in council records. He was found guilty of crimes against sentient species. His sentence was chosen by Ambassador Jiwoo herself. Not execution, not imprisonment. Exile to a human colony world where he would live out his remaining years teaching young humans about the dangers of arrogance and tyranny. You will learn what humans are truly capable of, she told him. Not war. Not destruction. Forgiveness. You killed my friends. You started a war that killed millions. And yet we choose to let you live, to let you contribute to something better. Perhaps in time, you will understand why. On Earth, monuments were built to honor those who fell. Commander Dae-hyun's name was carved first. Then, the others from Zenith Prime. Then the soldiers who died at New Busan, the Marines who fell assaulting council bases, the crews who sacrificed their ships in Earth's defense. Fleet Admiral Woo Jin retired and spent his remaining years teaching at the new Commonwealth Military Academy, where officers from dozens of species learned human tactical doctrine. Not to conquer, to defend, to protect, to ensure that never again would one species be able to dominate all others. Dr. Young-mi destroyed all records of the Prometheus Protocol. The singularity bombs were dismantled. Such weapons were too dangerous to exist. But their memory remained. Record. With their memory remained. A reminder of what humanity was capable of when pushed to the edge. A warning to any future tyrant. General Kyung-suk helped train the militaries of newly independent worlds. She taught them not just how to fight, but why to fight. For freedom. For dignity. For the right to determine their own fate. The council had believed humanity was weak because they were young. They learned too late that youth means adaptability, not weakness. That a species which survives Earth's brutal evolutionary pressures does not break easily. The galaxy entered a new age, not perfect, not peaceful everywhere, but better. The council's iron grip had been broken. In its place grew something more flexible, more resilient, more just. And at the center of it all stood humanity. Not as conquerors, not as masters, as equals who had fought for the right to stand alongside their galactic neighbors with dignity intact. The council had shed human blood, believing it would make humanity kneel. Instead, it made humanity stand. And in standing, humanity showed the galaxy what true strength looked like. Not in domination, in resilience, in the absolute refusal to accept injustice, no matter the cost. The day the council shed human blood, their downfall began. Not because humans were the strongest, but because they were the most stubborn, the most adaptable, the most unwilling to accept defeat. And in the end, that made all the difference.